Well, I'm doing it again. I'm perhaps the most unpredictable person on the internet. Just maybe. Hey, welcome to Aaron Live. This is another last second live stream, my fourth this week. I'm going out of control. But you know what? There's two people here watching already. So I didn't take everyone by surprise. The truth of the matter is I've got some commissions to do. And, I might as well do them live for you guys to watch the process. So really, it's all about me doing stuff for you. That's why I'm here. I'm here for you. I do want to make you guys aware, if you missed my hosting of the Brofessionals last night, you missed perhaps the best show we've done yet. We did movie trivia in sort of almost a game show, Jeopardy sort of format. It was incredibly funny and entertaining. If you haven't checked it out, please go back into the old archives of my video list and watch that. I will warn you, though, they're unlike me, a paragon of virtue that I am and do not use four-letter words. I cannot say the same for my cohorts on the Brofessionals. So if you're sensitive to shall we say, colorful language, you may want to not bring your kids to watch the episode. But other than that, funny, good, entertaining stuff. So I'm going to turn on the comments section and see if actually anybody's here. Hey, Don Korn is here. He just dropped in all the way from Illinois. Thanks, Don, for dropping in. We'll be drawing here in just a moment because that's the purpose of all of this. Is actually for not for me to sit here and attempt to tell lame jokes and everything, but like I normally do on my Sunday show, but instead just for me to draw. Let me do this though. Let me run a little public service announcement first if I can, because there's 7 people watching right now. So. That's right. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, if you haven't pushed the old like button, let me encourage you to do so. The numbers are growing rapidly now, and I'm very thankful for all of you out there that have discovered this and are starting to subscribe. It makes it all feel worthwhile to me when you guys jump on board as regular patrons of the show. So anyway, let's remember to do that, and let's move on to some drawing here. Niall Skella has jumped in. Niall said some very nice things about me when I posted my Moon Knight drawing from a couple live streams ago earlier this week, and I greatly appreciate it. In fact, I appreciate it so much. I'm going to give Niall a standing O. I do appreciate it. I really do. Leg Kick has dropped by. He's wishing me a happy Friday, and I'm gonna send that back out to you guys and say happy Friday to everybody as well. Rachel Edmonds. I don't know Rachel, but let's see what she's. Ooh, wait a minute. Let's see what Rachel has to say here. She says, "Can you shout out my fiance Matt Hazy, please? He is a massive fan. Thank you, Aaron. Hope you're well." Rachel, all righty. I'm going to do it. I'm putting him on screen and saying, Matt, thanks for the support, man. And Rachel, thank you for dropping by. I think you're both awesome. Even though I don't know you personally, I feel like we're connecting a little bit here. So thank you so much. John Smith. John Smith rolled out of the sack. He's a West Coaster. He's probably got eggs and coffee right now, sitting there watching me on his big screen TV, no doubt. Joe Bernardo, he's here. He says, aloha, Aaron. And I'm guessing that besides the fact that you misspelled my name, that you're probably in Hawaii if you're saying aloha. But I can't let that go. If you're going to reach out to me, you got to at least know how to spell my name. So you're going to get one of these early. So let's see. So just remember, Joe. Let's get that spelling correct. Stephen Ing is here. He stopped on my delivery route, but will pee. I stopped on my delivery route, but will pee. I don't, you know, I'm not really sure what that means, but I think we better do this. Yeah, I'm not sure what, if that was really all that appropriate or not. Greg Hindley's here. What's up, A? You know, that was my nickname in junior high, was A. Stevening, peak. And when I stopped there. Woo! Okay, that makes more sense. All right. Oh, there you go. I like the applause button for professionals yesterday. Thank you, Joe. I'm glad. Thanks for watching that show. That was a fun show. I really enjoyed that. Oh, wait a minute. What's this? Ninth Island, Las Vegas. Is that a hotel? Is that like some sort of resort thing? I don't know. Ninth Island, Las Vegas. Very interesting. All right. Okay. Well, we've had too much fun already, and the show hasn't even started. So.
And now for something completely different.
It's not really all that different because we're going to draw. And when I say we're going to draw, I mean I'm going to draw. Leg kick. He has a question for me. I was wondering what character is your favorite to draw? I don't know. Let me think about it. This is my second cousin twice removed, Christiana Alexander, saying, taking a mental break from my work to say hi. Hey, Christiana. How are you? How's your mom? How's your daughter? How's your husband? Tell everyone I said hi. There you go. See, I just included everybody in there. Thanks for dropping by. Let's see. That's what the Hawaiian people call Las Vegas because there's so many of us here. Really? So like Vegas is a melting pot for Hawaiians? Interesting. I didn't know that. That's always, we're good over here as well. Nobody has killed each other. That's always a positive sign, right? When there hasn't been any murders in the house. So that's good. Oh, let me show you something. I have been doing a little bit of sketching. Got back on my commission horse, as it were. Let me switch over to, oh yeah. I get so confused because there's so many buttons. Let me switch over to this so you can see my messy desk and my Wacom tablet that's like 20 years old and still works. I did a Planet Hulk. Somebody sent me their omnibus to get a sketch inside. Here's my weird color thing again here. This is actually green, but it looks blue to you guys on there. Very strange. Anyway, but on the inside, look how blue that looks. That's actually green. That's really funny. Anyway, so I did this Planet Hulk for them in their book, and looks like they have Carlo Paglione did one as well, which I think is really cool right there. So anyway, I just did that yesterday. And then I got another guy who's he's got a jam piece, but since no one's really doing conventions right now, he's sending out, and he's like, I did a little piece that's going to be patched on this. That's the penguin there. So I did that for him last night as well. I have to mail that to him, and he's going to patch it on. Let's see. I finally remembered to fill out my my application and contract, I should say, for Rose City Comic Con. So I will. I've taken care of all that stuff. So that should be an official thing very soon that I'll be attending Rose City, which shouldn't be a big surprise since it's right here in Portland, and so am I. Sardi says, I'll spell Aaron in the original Hebrew for you. Well, look at that. That is, that's pretty cool. Well, thank you. That's so impressive. Let me do this. Flying Saucer is here. I always get Fly and Saucer mixed up with Fly Fox Pro. Fly Fox Pro is much harder to say, though. All right, so I'm doing some character called Surge. These are little 9x12s. I have too many. I have too many commission options because I can't even keep track of all the pricing. But I do these 9x12 color ones, and they're a little bit cheaper than the super large 11x17 color pieces I do. So, but these are only 3/4 figure, but they are in color. So it's I still think it's a really good value. I think these range anywhere from $200 to $250, depending on really usually if the character has a cape or not. If it has a cape, you're getting charged extra. Again, as you can see, as there we go. This is really sort of how I, pardon the expression, feel my way through a figure. Is again not with a stick figure, but actually just sort of putting shapes together, and then I clean it up from there, as opposed to what some people would do is a stick figure like this to kind of get the spine in. I just don't really feel the need to do that. I just kind of, I can put the shapes together, and that's just easier for me to do it this way. I think I'm going to bring this arm down a little bit. Seems to be maybe a bit too high, a little uncomfortable. Okay, that's a little bit better, I think. This is actually pretty nice paper. It has a little bit of tooth to it. It's not, this is just the Blick brand, so it's their store brand. I don't know who makes it for them, but it's the studio paper, 9x12 size. It's 100 pound, so it's pretty heavy. And the vellum, but it's not a real, it's not a real rough surface. It has a little bit of texture to it, just enough to make things interesting. But I'll be using a little bit of marker and a little bit of colored pencil on this. So I do like to have a little bit of texture on here. Dang, let's see if I can get this at an angle that maybe shows that pencil a little bit. There we go. That's a little bit better, I think. Okay, Joe Bernardo wants to know, he said, you moved from Florida when you were with, yeah, I lived in Florida, outside of Tampa in a little town called Holiday, Florida, which was very nice. And then, no, I don't live in Seattle, I live in Portland. Or the Portland, I don't live in Portland, but I live in the Portland area. Omar says, Blick has some good papers. They do. And much like if you go in and, I don't know, you go into a store grocery shopping and you get the off-brand stuff like Safeway has its own, I think it's called Signature brand or whatever. But it's, all those off-brand products are made by name brand producers, but they make them at a cheaper rate or for these grocery stores and other places. And it's the same thing with, I'm sure with the art paper. Strathmore probably makes this stuff for Blick, who knows? And then they just, put their own label on it. I don't know that it's Strathmore for certain, but I mean, it's more than likely one of the major paper manufacturers that that does that for them. But yeah, they have Blick has their own, the colored pencils and everything else, and they're all pretty good, quality stuff, and they're a little bit cheaper than some of the other brand names. So, and I'm incredibly cheap, so I will go with the discount wherever I can get it. I'm not a big, there's a couple things that I look for. That I'm really kind of a stickler about the quality, and one of those is brushes. But paper, I'm not, well, okay, I am picky about paper to a certain degree, but I'm open to a variety of brands. It's kind of whatever you find that works best. But I'm certainly not a snob in saying, well, I have to have Strathmore, or I have to have Kaysen, or whatever. If I find a good paper, I will use it. Pencils the same way. If I can find a decent pencil, I don't really care what the brand is. Colored pencils, I tend to be, I've got colored pencils from when I was in high school laying around here that I still use. If I'm actually buying them, there is actually a difference between the quality of colored pencils. So, but I haven't really bought a set of colored pencils in ages because I've got so many lying around here from, like I said, from just so many sources. Like even as I seriously do have colored pencils. It's dating all the way back to high school. So, but I did these. This isn't like a big shock, but these Prismacolors are, they're pretty good pencils. I do like these, and there's some that are more pastel-y, that have a little bit of, they're actually really sort of, I don't want to say it's creamy almost. Those certainly have a purpose, but they're not ones I like to use a lot because I do. I like ones that, the creamy one, the ones that get more pastel-y, they smudge, they don't really blend. So they're a different kind of texture, and you got to be kind of be careful. And, again, it depends on what you're going for. I may let this guy off easy on the price because this Surge has like all this weird metal crap on her arms. It's going to take me forever to figure out, I'm sure. As you can see, I just switched pencils. I mean, I've told this story before, but gosh darn it, I'll tell it again because maybe someone hasn't heard it. But I remember asking two people, and they actually gave me the same answer. It's pretty funny. I asked Mike Plug one time, I think after looking at his Santa Claus book, I asked him what he used to ink with, because there seemed to be quite a variety of lines in his work. And he said, whatever was within reach, and basically meaning he used pens, brushes, whatever, whatever was closest at the time. And it's funny, I asked the same question to Kevin Nolan, and he said almost the exact same thing. Yeah, whatever's closest. And I thought that was really funny, but I've got I thought, come on, how can you be so unstructured, right? When you're doing something like that. But what I found out is I've got a tray on my, along the bottom of my drafting table, which basically biggest purpose it serves is catching all the eraser stubble. So I've usually got a mess all the time, but I put pencils in there, I put pens, I put markers, whatever. And when you start inking, it is funny. You start looking around and, oh, there's a pen, you grab it, and you're like, oh, I'll use a brush on this. And so you grab a brush that's sitting over here. And I do use multiple tools while I'm inking as well. And while I'm drawing. I mean, I put this pencil down, pick up a pen, go pick up, and if there's another pencil laying there, I may grab the closest pencil. So I am a big, I think tools are important, but I think, saying a drawing is bad or good because, your tools aren't very good is not really a very good excuse. I think if you can draw, you're going to be able to do it with whatever you've got to work with. And so I'm not, like I said, I'm not a real big snob when it comes to materials and brand names and stuff. Although I have been using Copic markers, but I only use those because everybody else was using them. I didn't know what to use. And then I've been using them forever, so I'm used to them. And I, know what to expect from them, so that being the somewhat conservative that I am, I don't like change. So it's like if I'm used to using something, I'll use it to death because I'm comfortable with it. I'm a little concerned here that Serge looks like she's fairly young and her face is looking a little bit more mature. So I'm wondering if maybe if I, let's see, if I rounded her face a little bit, maybe that will youthen her up a little bit. Youthen her? I don't know if that's actually a word. Let's see if this helps. I don't know, maybe the eyes a little bit around her. I need to sort of check and see if her eyes start glowing when she uses her powers. Since I got her doing a little bit of lightning type stuff here, let's see what happens to her eyes. Nope, you just turn blue. There's so many Teen X characters anymore, I can't even keep up with it. Let's see here. Zane Zelensky is very random. Crime is the disease, meet the cure, the strong arm of the law. That's actually, those of you who, like I said, watched the movie trivia last night, I almost did that. Crime is a disease, he's the cure, would have been one of the taglines. That, of course, is from the Stallone movie Cobra. But I didn't end up using that in one of my questions. Let's see, what do we got here? Omar says, makes sense. On some Strathmore papers, it seems they have licensed their name to a company called Tomahawk, or is it possibly a subsidiary? They do good work. The watercolor paper is great. How about that? Okay. Jeff Potts, Aaron is particular paper picker. Say that 3 times fast. Aaron purchases paper at a Pacific paper plant. This is turning into a Dr. Seuss thing. He also purchases Pacific paper per pound, probably. I'm just going to give you one of these, Jeff. Not exactly slap worthy, but just annoying enough to get a Shelley response. Okay. So let's see here. She's a little long-waisted. Maybe I'll lift her waist up just a little bit here. Man, this thing just totally flares out on me if I'm not careful. Okay. All right, now I got to do this like crazy metal stuff on her hand. It's like, what the heck? That's one of the most terrifying things about drawing the X-Men in their more modern incarnations, because there's so much like little busy text stuff. I don't know who started that. Was it maybe Arthur Adams or Jim Lee or one of those guys, man? It's like we have to blame for all this kind of techie stuff. I think it's all manga influence, though, really, isn't it? Probably. I don't really know because I don't read manga. I don't even know what's going on here. Let's make some stuff up. It'll look good enough. That's the thing. You get all these weird parts moving around and stuff, and it's like, does this stuff even work? In certain positions, it's like you can't put them in a position. You have to make sure that their body is in the position that their suit will actually bend and and work in. It's kind of nuts. I mean, it's one thing you put all these gadgets on here and you say, yeah, that looks really cool, but you have to start drawing the character moving around, and it's like, this doesn't really work, does it? I got to figure out what I'm doing. So I'm talking about, this stuff is just weird. I'm going a little bit closer so you can suffer with me, so you can see it better. Now, Zane, do you really have to ask this question? Do I collect art books of other artists? Yeah. In fact, come with me. That's my shirt. See that bookshelf right there? Right there. Those are all art books of other artists. Oh, and there's some McFarlane toys up there and the Hercules playset. But that starts with like, I got some illustrators over there. Then it starts like with Arthur Adams and Neil Adams, and it just goes down all the way to Wrightson down at the bottom. So yeah. Woo! That moves so fast you probably all puked. So yeah, I do collect art books by other artists, and if I can, I always get the book signed. I remember years ago I got a sketchbook from Arthur Adams, one of his earlier ones, right? And I bought it from him at his table. I was sitting on it a couple tables down from him. And so he gives it to me and I go, dude, you got to sign that. And he just like looked at me like he goes, oh my gosh, he goes, you're such a geek. And so that he actually, I think he signed it in the book, to Aaron, you nerd, or something like that. Arthur Adams. But it's like, I get art from people, or I get, I don't get my comic books signed. I don't like that because I'm very much a collector and very much into condition. And I don't want people writing on the comic, even if they worked on it. But if it's an art book or a print or something like that, I absolutely want it signed. So I've got like Steranko's book over there signed, and I've got a Basil Gogos, who was the illustrator who did all those famous monsters of film, excuse me, famous monsters of Filmland magazine covers for years. I've got one, his book signed by him. So yeah, I mean, yes, I do collect art books by artists. I got some James Bama books over there that I think he signed. You know, I'm glad to see, I watched a little bit of your show this morning, Andy, and I got a kick out of it. As I was just sort of rolling out of the sack, because you're 3 hours ahead of me, of course. But Andy, Andy's coming in here, of course, trying to promote his product, and that's fine. He does have First Man on Indiegogo right now in demand. So if you want to get a copy of that, that's still available to do that. But I want to point out that last night on the Professionals, Andy finished last by a long shot on the movie trivia questions. So you might want to check that out. But he was very funny, and the whole show is very funny. I keep pushing this, but I rewatched the entire show, and it's like an hour and a half long. I rewatched it last night, and I just laughed my head off. It is so good. So you guys, if you haven't watched the Professionals from last night, it's on part of my video list of videos that I have on my channel, because I hosted last night. It's really funny and entertaining. So you might want to check that out. Let's see, Aaron, you should check out the books being done by Illustrated Press. Okay, I will. I'm going to write that down, Illustrated Press. I may be aware of them, and I'm just not aware of the name, but I will check that out, because I do like art books. Andy Smith now is crying, saying that the show was rigged, which clearly it wasn't. We don't, that would be, I think that's a federal offense to rig a game show. Didn't Robert Redford do a movie about that? So I would never do that. And you really don't have to rig it with Andy's playing anyway, because he has zero chance of winning, just playing straight up. So, but it was good fun. And I promise you we're going to be doing more of that, because it was really fun. But enough about that silliness. On to the task at hand, which is drawing this tech gear crap on this character. I don't even know what's going on here. I see. Why would she need to have all this metal stuff? Does this stuff create her electric surge currents? If it does, then she's not really a mutant, right? Maybe it just helps control them. See, I have no idea. I never read X-Men when it was, when it was Claremont and Byrne, so I certainly don't read it now. I read it a little bit when it was, when I was drawing it, but I read the scripts I was drawing, and that's it. So I don't know. Just never been just a huge X-Men fan. I don't know why. I just never have been. And it's so convoluted now. There's so many characters. It's like, gee, many Christmas. Okay. So I've been promising, I've got a HeronCon coming up soon. But I've been sort of working behind the scenes on getting some stuff done, because I want to have enough new material and kind of stuff obviously available for sale to make it worthwhile me, actually doing it. So, and it's funny because I'm not really doing anything else. It's like, why the heck don't I have more work done? And it's because I'm spending so much time prepping for live streams and stuff. It's like, You know, it's so typical. You know, you never do the work you're supposed to do, right? You always do this stuff that, um, look at those slots. They go right down her boobs. Wow. That's kind of risque. You know, you're always working on stuff that, you know, you've got the stuff you should be working on, then you've got the stuff you actually are working on. And it's always, you always spend your time working on stuff that doesn't pay you a dime, because the other stuff, obviously, that pays you feels like work. So then you avoid it like the plague and do just as much work, but you do it on stuff you're not getting paid for because it doesn't feel like work. It's the dumbest thing ever. And I fully admit that I get carried away in that regard too. But I mean, it is fun producing these shows, but then you have to sort of weigh and go, oh my gosh, I'm spending so much time prepping and producing these shows, and I'm not getting a dime for doing it, you know. But it is fun. And I guess you hope you grow your audience a little bit so that when you actually do projects, that people will go out and get them. I guess that's really sort of it's a long-term investment, right? Right? Andy Smith is out of here. Great work, brother. Got to run. Thanks, Andy. Thanks for stopping by. Zane has a little shot at Andy on the way out the door. There is the Andy Smith exception to game show rigging, though Art could get disqualified due to his 80+ years in the business. Oh my gosh. You know, this whole Art to Bear's how old Art to Bear is just hilarious. It's become it's got a life unto itself, really, about making jokes about how old Art is. Which is funny because he actually looks younger than I do, but he's much older than me. And so it takes kind of the pressure off me, you know, people giving me age jokes, and they focus those on Art. And he's very good-natured about it. But it's easy to be good-natured when you have all your hair, right? So yeah, I'm a little bit jealous of his hair. Chris Bacon, he says it's how she channels her powers. Okay, so this helps her control and channel her powers. All right, I guess that makes sense. I'll go with that. Clearly someone who reads X-Men comics. He's in the know. I'm not sure I dig the pants. I guess that's more of a fashion statement. You know, but I guess if you think about it, and again, I'm not real big on making comic books realistic. I don't think that's the point. I think we have way too much of that going on. But a teenage girl would probably wear jeans or something like that, you know, trying to make a fashion statement rather than spandex or something. So I guess that these pants sort of make sense, you know, so no. Like I said, these characters have so many incarnations of costumes, and you know, they always vary a little bit depending on who's drawing them. And I think that hair is a little too long. So I always get nervous when people ask for X-Men commissions, because it's like, okay, each character has like 30 variations on their costume. Which one do you want? And then even though, you know, you pick a particular costume and there's no consistency to it, again, it changes slightly depending on who's drawing it. So I'm going to make her eyes a little bit bigger. I think that'll make her look just a tad bit younger and be more because I'm assuming she's a teenager, although I have no freaking idea because I don't read this stuff. But also, there's so many guys with, shall we say, pardon my head, animation or cartoony sort of influences in their work that these characters look young, even if maybe they're not supposed to be that young. So I don't really know. All right, so let's ink this sucker. See what happens. You know, Jeff, you're right. You're right. You've just described marketing, except you pay for marketing one way or another. Isn't it true? You know, you have to invest time/money into promotion or marketing. It's just part of the game. And that's what this is. It's free entertainment, although I guess calling it entertainment might be pushing it a bit. Although my live streams on Sunday, I think, have some entertainment value. This is just pure, you know, conversation and just drawing on these last second live streams. One thing I found out, though, when you do these, you have to be able to talk endlessly. And thankfully, I can do that. You know, no one's ever accused me of not being able to talk. You know, they've accused me of not saying anything of value, and I totally accept that, but I can talk. Groovy. There's nothing more satisfying than working on a drawing and have it actually turn out. This looks like it's turned out pretty well, so I'm relatively pleased here so far. Have I? I don't know if Zane's trying to be funny or not, but I thought this was funny. He goes, "You ever draw one of these, talk, look up, and find no one is watching?" You know, there was a little bit of that when I first started doing this. You know, you'd watch the eyeballs up there, and there was like, you know, 0, and you're like, I'm talking to myself. But then I'd always remember that even if, and that's you run the risk every time you do one of these last second live streams like I do, is I don't know what is so intriguing to me about just doing something completely unannounced, but it is kind of fun. I always like to see who happens to be tuning in or who might be on Facebook or, you know, or who's subscribed that gets the notice that, hey, suddenly I'm on, and who's got time to drop in. But yeah, I do a few of these, and there's like the big old goose egg up there, you know, but I always remember that these are going to be posted, and someone will be watching them eventually. So even if I'm talking to myself, I know eventually I'll be talking to somebody. So. But I do encourage questions. You know, if you have a question you want to ask me, just go ahead and ask away, because it gives me more fodder to discuss while I'm doing this. I don't really solicit questions as much as I probably should, because I don't mind answering questions at all. Super Jerry says, "What's up, Aaron?" Well, okay, maybe a more specific question than that, but what's up? This drawing is up, man. Welcome, and thanks for stopping in, though. I appreciate that, Super Jerry. What's my mother's maiden name? Yeah. Wait a minute, then you could get all my passwords. No, I'm not going to reveal that. Best friend, like Zane is just trolling me for information so he can get my credit card or something. I don't know. Best friend in elementary school. Fred, yes, I did. I did work on the new not new X-Man, but the new X-Men. Yeah, when I left CrossGen and went over to Marvel, I hooked up with basically Mike Martz was the guy in charge of the X-Men office at that time. And so I started doing, well, the first thing I did was Captain Marvel for Peter David for like 4 issues or something. And I think that book got canceled. And then I went over to Excalibur, where they relaunched Excalibur with Chris Claremont, which was, I was very excited when they said, hey, you want to do Excalibur? I'm like, heck yeah, because I was thinking Captain Britain, you know, Nightcrawler, all this kind of stuff. And that's not what it was at all. It was, you know, this whole new thing where, you know, they were on that island and trying to relocate the X-Men on this island and stuff. And so it wasn't exactly what I'd hoped for, but at the same time, I did get to create a ton of new X characters, and some of them actually were pretty good. And I don't know if they got used or not. There was that goth chick, that little goth chick that could talk to ghosts. That was really kind of cool. And there were a couple other characters. Well, there was a ton of other characters that I designed that had never appeared before, and that was really kind of cool. But like I said, I don't know how much of those actually ever got used outside of Excalibur. But anyway, so yeah, so I did Excalibur. But then when I was done with Excalibur, because they canceled Excalibur because of House of M, because that sort of House of M sort of re-established and relaunched all the X-Men stuff. And so that kind of put an end to Excalibur. And I honestly, I don't know what the sales were on Excalibur, so that may have had something to do with it. I have no idea because I really wasn't paying attention. But so then after that, Mike threw me, I did several issues of New X-Men, which was, it was like a teen group or something, right? And they were all in sort of black outfits. And so I did some of that. And then I think I went and did Sentinel Squad, which was sort of loosely X-Men related with John Layman. And, you know, then did a variety of other things along the way. But yeah, I did quite a bit of work. I did some work in the X-Men office before CrossGen. That was regular Uncanny X-Men with Mark Morales inking and some Danny Mickey stuff. We're stuff with Danny Mickey where he inked as well. That was really good stuff. But unfortunately, my editors there were really liked my stuff, and you know, it was really going well, and then they both got fired. And when that happens, suddenly you find yourself disconnected with no work. And that's why I ended up at CrossGen. And so that happens a lot. You know, it's like things have really changed over at DC because most of the people I worked with over there, including Dan DiDio, were let go. And so suddenly when you're in really good with a company and you've got work all the time and you know everybody, suddenly you know nobody, and now you don't have any work. And so you're, you know, out hitting the pavement again. That's kind of the annoying thing about this industry. Even after you've made it, there's never a point where you've really made it, because they can turn on you at any time, just depending on, you know, circumstances. And that's why the independent market is getting so lively right now, is because there's so many people realizing that the job opportunities at Marvel and DC are becoming less and less as they cut titles and, you know, they cut staff. And so we're finding out that if we really want to do stuff, we're going to have to do it through the independent market. The problem with the independent market is I think the price point is challenging when you launch these Indiegogo projects, because mostly you're counting on anywhere from 500 to 1,500 people to support your book. And that's not enough, unless you charge, $25 for the book, which is, and offer a bunch of incentives to go with it, so everybody feels like they're getting their money's worth, which is hard to do. $25 for a 48-page book it's a lot of money. But, Graham Nolan likes to say that these are event books and specialty items. And so, it's not like we're asking you to pay $25 for a comic every month. So I guess, I still wish there was a way you get more people to buy these books so that the price could be lowered. Because I do think that sort of goes hand in hand. You get a better price point and you're going to obviously attract more readers, but you have to attract more readers before you can lower your price point. So challenging times. Let's see here. I've got a bunch of stuff going on here. When's your crowdfunding book hitting? Soon. That's all I can say. I've got artwork on it that I got to get done before I can launch. And I haven't got enough of it done yet. So because I'm doing a lot of commissions and I'm doing stuff that actually, I have to do to pay bills. And so, I'm working on it on the side, and then I'm producing these videos and all this kind of stuff. So it's like, it's a little bit more challenging than it should be. But soon. And I've also got Garbage Man in the works, and I'm trying to get that taken care of, even though that's not going to be a crowdfunded project. It's being published by a publisher, and that announcement should be coming very, 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 very soon. And then the crowdfunding thing will be sometime this summer, because I don't want to waste the summer. I want that's your best month, just like producing movies or whatever. They launch them during the summertime, because you're going to get your best box office, and you don't want to be launching crowdfunding books in the fall or winter when you're too close to Christmas or the holidays, because that money then is going to Christmas presents and stuff for other things, and is not going to be focused on buying a new comic product. So it is a seasonal thing, and so I need to be aware of that. Okay, so let me get caught up on some more of these. So Zane says, any book character that you are dying to draw or write? Well, okay, I've got a dying, probably not the right way to put it, but I do have stories sitting around for Deathlock, Captain America, and Man-Thing right now. I mean, they're not finished scripts, but I have plots for all three of those, and nothing at DC right now that I have. I did most of the stuff at DC I wanted to do. I mean, I would do like a single issue of Superman or something like that if I could write it, because well, actually I do have a really good Superman story that I almost got off the ground when Bob Harris was still there. Bob and Dan were still there, but it's dead in the water now. I'm drinking. My daughter sort of makes me get this stuff. It's LaCroix. I don't know. It's like that sort of just lightly flavored water, carbonated. So you can always get some good burps. So anyway, Zane, that answers that question. Fred Brona, horror show. I don't know what that means. What was her name? I don't know what that means. Jeremy Mering says Wicked and Freak Show. Oh, that's right. You're talking about the characters from Excalibur that I created that I couldn't even remember what their names were. Thank you. Yes. The female Sentinel is being used. Did I do a female Sentinel? See, I don't even remember. Yeah, maybe I did. There was a pirate guy too that I thought was kind of fun. Let's see. Talk to Pete Samedi at Alterna Comics. Well, see, here's the problem with these, Alterna. And actually, I don't know about Alterna, but like, you know, Dark Horse or Boom or what's Mike Martz's company that he's like the editor in chief at right now? Starts with an A. Why can't I ever freaking remember the name of his his company? It's not Alterna, but it's Aftershock. Aftershock. They, you know, you can do books through these guys, but the amount of money they give you up front is practically nothing. And so you might as well crowdfund because you have a better chance of making more money crowdfunding than you do, you know, up front with these guys. But that's the nature of creator-owned books too. You know, you're taking a risk. They expect you to take a risk, but I would just as soon, I think, crowdfund, because I think I could probably raise at least as much money as I'm getting paid, would get paid for them to do books through them. So, but I have not talked to Peter at Alterna. I don't know what his deal is. And of course, Image, you don't get anything up front either. You're all getting, that's all money on the back end. You don't have to pay for the publishing costs. You know, they do that, the printing costs, but that comes out of your royalties, if there are any royalties. And but see, that's the other thing. When you do a small press book and someone else is publishing it, for example, you have to do like 15,000 copies to get anything out of it. And, you know, at least 15,000 copies. And that's really hard to do through the comic shops, but you can make more money selling 1,000 copies crowdfunding, you know. So it's like, now crowdfunding, of course, you have to ship all the stuff and you have to offer incentives, you know, and extra things to get people on board. So there is a little bit more, you know, involved in that regard. Whereas if you do an independent book through a publisher, you're just responsible for getting them the work and then they'll, you know, take care of everything else. But like I said, you're not going to get much of a payday. I think on Image books, if you can survive and do enough, you know, say 6 issues or whatever, and then they can do it as a trade, then you have a chance to make some money on the back end. But I'm working on something to plan with some other creators, see if we can figure out a way that we can do this stuff as crowdfunded books and not lose our shirts on it and still get, you know, because so many guys have like their own universes they want to launch and stuff. And I really feel like it's a better thing if some of those universes are connected, because people, I don't care what anybody says, people like connected universes. And you know, so do I get the appeal of it. I really do. And if you're a one-man show, it's really hard to produce, you know, 6 or 7 books and say, here's my connected universe. It's especially if you're crowdfunding. So there's a lot of stuff to consider, and I'm rolling all those things over in my mind and on paper and trying to figure out the best plan of action. Not that I want to reinvent the wheel, because that would be foolish. And you know, there's guys that Ethan Van Sciver, of course, is being very successful with what he's doing, and Graham Nolan's shown a great deal of success. Art to Bears, Mike Miller, all those guys have shown degrees of success with what they've done. So it can be done, but I just keep thinking there's got to be a better way, and I don't know what it is yet, but I'm working on it. So all those kind of factors are sort of slowing me down a little bit in jumping into the crowdfunded market. Because I did try to crowdfund Garbage Man 2 years ago, and it didn't work out. So I'm a little gun shy. But I guess the fallback is if it, you know, if you crowdfund something, and at least in my situation, if it doesn't work out, I can always go to a publisher and do it, you know, and like I said, I won't make any money probably doing it, but at least I can get it out there. And that's kind of the start, right? You get the product out there, and then you have a shot. So, but you don't have any shot if you can't get it out there. The female sentinel was Karima Shependar, a.k.a. Omega. Oh, yeah. Right, yeah. Yeah, Zane, that's a yes and a no question. They won't say that, but based on what I see from them, I would say that's all their focus is on television and film, because a lot of the properties they're producing would fit well into those genres or those mediums, excuse me. In fact, I did a cover for Steve Orlando's book, Project Patreon? Project Patreon. I did a cover for one of his, and it's a really great concept, and I think it's out now. In fact, let me do a quick plug, because I have some copies sitting over here. If I can unearth them from this garbage pile called my studio. Yeah, it's Project Patron, not Patreon. Okay, like you have a patron. So there it is. There's my cover for it. They really cut this off because I think they didn't want to cover up this dude's head. So this guy right here, he extended like all the way like this far down here, and they had to scooch this guy down so far to get the thing in there that he kind of got cut off. But that's all right. So the premise is that these guys, this is all sort of a control team, and I think this guy is like some sort of android or some sort of robot, and they all sort of control him. So it's really sort of an interesting concept, because he's a superhero, but he has these guys. That sort of are behind the scenes pulling the levers and stuff. Like here's this guy is in, and I think I don't think they all do it at the same time. I think they take turns or something. I'm not 100% sure because I haven't read it yet, but it sounded like a really kind of cool high concept kind of thing, and something that would probably make a good television show or a movie, because the superhero aspects of it seem to be secondary to what the characters behind the scenes are doing, and that of course would lend itself to a television series or something like that. But Steve's a good guy. I've worked with him on a couple of projects, and so you might want to check that out if you haven't seen it yet. Thank you, Rodney. Rodney says that cover looks awesome. Flattery will get you everywhere. Yeah, Fred's giving me all the backstory now on the comics I worked on, because I don't remember. Yeah, the goth girl we're talking about, so was named Wicked, right? And she could summon ghosts, that's right. And she had a boyfriend called Freak Show, and he could change into monsters. Yeah, I liked both those characters a lot. I mean, there was several characters on there I kind of liked. So I wonder if any of them ever showed up in a television show. Wow, I might get some money. Wouldn't that be awesome? Joe Bernardo says you should do a book of female drawings with some in sketches. Here's the thing. Have you, Joe, I'm calling you out live on this show. Have you seen this? That's my hardcover sketchbook that's out right now. 64 pages, full color. And it's all sketch material, but it's got tons. Let me grab a copy. There's tons of, shall we say, female art in it. So let's take a quick gander through this. I don't push this book as much as I should. I mean, I've got, I'm less how should we say, anxious to or motivated to sell these, because I sold enough that I actually paid for my printing costs. So I'm sort of in the black. Is that what they call it? Yeah, I'm in the black on these. So I'm not as desperate anymore to get them out there, which I should be, because I mean, it's still a product and it's a good product. But so it's 64 pages. And so there's a lot of stuff like this in there that are you know, they're pencil drawings, but they're complete. They're not like just, you know, these are drawings for the most part that I've done in my sketchbooks, and they're let me zoom out a little bit, but they're fairly detailed. You know, I learned a long time ago, I was seeing guys that had their own sketchbooks. You know, I saw people's sketchbooks and they were like, had these really great drawings in them. And all mine were filled with like just quick stick figure studies and things like that. Now this drawing is interesting because when I originally did this drawing, she was naked. And simply because I just drew the figure, you know, and I was like, yeah, I'm not putting any clothes on her. But then as I looked at the drawing, I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why would this girl be running around naked in the woods, right? And there's this werewolf out here. So I put a dress on her because it made more sense to me. But anyway, so there's a bunch of John Carter stuff. You know, there's some more girl, mermaid, jungle girl stuff. There's some more. I mean, yeah, there's practically a female on every page. What do I say? What can I say? I like girls, but there's more John Carter stuff. Ton of John Carter stuff in here. There's some humor stuff. It's very eclectic. There's just, you know, trolls, fantasy stuff. You know, there's some Frankenstein, some monsters, children's book stuff. I won't go through every page, but there's plenty of that stuff that's, you know, fairly well developed. You know, so it's not like just like quick little rough sketches. There's some nice stuff in here. It's a really nice book. And so that I have that, and that's available for $25 plus $5 shipping, so $30. And I also am doing head sketches on the insides of those for an extra $20. So that stuff is available. Oh, Joe wants to know, where can I get it? Well, let me show you, Joe. Let me run this on the bottom. There you go. You just PayPal me at aaron@aaronlopresti.com. Make sure your address is on there. Make sure you tell me why you're sending me money. Just don't send me money and hope for the best. The sketchbooks are signed and numbered, limited edition, 750 copies. So every copy comes signed and numbered. If you want a if you want a head sketch on the inside, that's an extra $20, which is a really great deal, because I would never do the detail level of sketches I do in these books for $20, except that they're in the books and I'm sort of pushing the books. So yeah, this page right here, you get a big headshot that fills up the page of, you know, your favorite character. Yeah, so those are available, and once you order those, I can get those right out to you. Rebrand is Naked Garbage Man. Let's see. So yeah, anyway, I was thinking of, I've got so many commissions over the years, even colored commissions. It's remarkable when I look, because I save all of them, right? And I've got them all scanned and stuff, and for the most part. And I'm amazed at how many I have done. And I was going to do a book of just, you know, my best color commissions, but that's all copyrighted material. So I would have to get permission from Marvel and from DC. And I was thinking about doing it, but it sort of became a pain in the butt. And so I just never got around to doing it. But I really like doing art books. In fact, like you guys probably some of you know anyway, that I had earlier this year was pushing a coloring book that I was going to do. And it was a coloring book, but it was also an art book. So it was set up to be, you know, you could scan the images or you could color the images. You know, you could buy 2 copies, right? One to color in and one to keep as an art book. But they were all just black and white drawings and such. And I had surgery on my shoulder. John needs a sketchbook with Mega Man, and then it's like, who's Mega Man? And it's like, Mega Man. Is that like, who is Mega Man? Yes. Oh, Fred wants to know. Fred's getting a commission from me. Yes, I got it, Fred. I got it. You're good. Yeah, you request whatever character you want. Somebody just requested Satana, and I don't do Satan characters, but other than that, I'll do it. So I don't know if he was mad at me or not, but I'm actually going to do a Scarecrow, which for Batman for him instead, which will be really cool. So yeah, don't ask me to draw like Son of Satan or the Devil or the Devil's Daughter, because I won't do that. But everything else I'm pretty good at doing. But anyway, for the sake of Joe, like this is, for example, this is an illustration that was going in my coloring book. And it's one of my intellectual properties, my IPs. It's called it's tentatively called Warriors of the Light right now. And it's a, you know, it's a Lord of the Rings type thing. But anyway, so that like images like that in a oversized, larger format, like 9x13 book, that would be used as a, you could use it as a coloring book, or again, you just say, oh yeah, I dig the artwork, so I'm just going to leave it as it is. Or, you know, the wise thing would be to get 2 copies, and that way you can color in one and save the other. And these will all be like signed and numbered limited edition things as well. But I still have, about half the book is done. I've got about 6 or 7 more pieces I need to finish before I can publish that. But that, hopefully I'll get that together before the fall season, because I'd like to have it when I go to conventions and stuff. That was the real purpose of doing the sketchbook, was to have these available at conventions, which I did for one convention, and then COVID shut everything down. So I've had to sell them all online. And so I try to remember, like I said, to push that stuff. And I did push the sketchbooks hard for that first year, last year during COVID, doing all my Erin cons and stuff. But since I've sold a fairly good amount of them, I forget now that, oh yeah, I should be pushing that. So yeah, I've got things I'm working on, and I'm terrible because I have like a million things I'm always working on, and that's a great way to make sure you get nothing done, is be working on, you know, a bunch of stuff. Okay, Joe says, I'll be getting one next payday on Friday. And you know what? I like that, because that's
Logical.
yeah. I mean, you can't buy a book without the money, right? So you wait till payday. But yeah, so that's how you have to do, is you don't even have to message me. You can just send the money PayPal, and I'll get a notification that you sent it, and I'll go and look and say, oh, he wants a sketchbook, and make sure you put in there what you want as your sketch, and you know, and your address is on there. I do it, package it up, send it off, and before you know it, it's at your door. Yeah, it's true. Oh, I assume you're asking, Joe, about the coloring book, and I think I answered that. I'm hoping August, maybe. Yeah, no, Zatanna is not the same as Satana. Okay, so we need to make sure that we understand that there's a difference between those 2 characters. I know that cons like Awesome Con in DC and Baltimore is going on for this year. Yeah, I'm not going out there unless I get someone pays my way out. You know, so they invited me, I would go. And I have been to the Baltimore Con and I did enjoy it, but I was brought out. I was actually brought out by a retailer who, if you remember, some of you may remember, I did a Harley Quinn cover when they relaunched Harley Quinn. And I did, you know, how retailers can buy a copy and, or pardon me, buy a, you know, a specific cover for their store. And somebody, well, I was very honored. I've actually done that twice where I've had retailers request that I do a cover for their specific store book copy. I'm not saying that very well, but it's amazing because they have to buy so many copies. They have to buy like 5,000 copies to get their own cover or something ridiculous like that. It's just crazy. In fact, hang on a second. See, I'm totally ill prepared, but that's the beauty of a last second live stream. But I do. Let me see if I've got some of the stuff laying around here I can show you. See, this crashing noises over here is me tripping over stuff. Now let's see what we got. Now I can't even remember why I came over here. Hang on, getting warmer. Warmer. Oh, you red hot dog. This is really what you call bad TV. But, you know, what are you going to do? All right, this is the next one I'll show you right here. Some of you have probably seen this, some of you probably have not, but there it is. So I did this cover for this guy's store. So you could only get it through him. So I pencil and inked and colored that, but that's Harley Quinn. Yeah, part of the Rebirth #1, Harley Quinn, and that was the cover I did for this guy's store. And he's out in the Baltimore area, and he combined with the Baltimore show to bring me out. Oh, he took me to a great steak dinner at like Rose's or someplace. It was really nice. So again, that was very flattering that someone would actually request that I did do the cover. All right, you can't. You can see. I can see. I laid down like a kind of a light pink there for our flesh tone. This doggone camera doesn't really pick up the color as well, and certainly not as accurate as it should. Let me zoom in a bit here. My 90-year-old mother lives with us, and she is outside right now rolling in the garbage cans. She's one of those people that you say, Mom, don't worry about it. Don't do this. Don't do that. You know, but she's like, oh, someone's got to do it. You know, and she goes out there. She's wheeling in the garbage cans off the curb right now because garbage day was yesterday. And then I have not gone out there and rolled the garbage cans in, but I can hear her out there rolling them. And my dog is whining because she's outside and he's not. And I tell you. But thankfully, my mother is still, at 90, is still quite active. So it may seem like I'm being mean, but by making. I don't make her do the stuff. She does it. I can't hardly stop her most of the time. So. And let's see. Hyper Kaiju's jumped in, and look at he's verifying what I said earlier. Good show last night. Thank you, Hyper. That was so much fun. I really enjoyed that. In fact, I've already started prepping for another game show type show that's going to be bigger than this last one. So the only problem with last night that was sort of disappointing was I had to shut down the comments, or so that we couldn't see the comments, because people were guys on the panel were taking too long to answer the questions, and guys in the messages were answering the questions, and then basically if the guy couldn't get the answer, he'd look in the messages and go, oh, hey, that's, and basically cheat. So I had to turn off the messages, so I could not respond to messages during the show or post them up like I do, like when I'm doing Aaron Live. So that was kind of a bummer, but I still think it was good entertainment. And I think a lot of people that watched were kind of, having their own competition within the chat anyway. So, but I don't think there's anybody alive who doesn't enjoy doing a little bit of trivia on subjects that they're interested in. I mean, it's always fun to kind of challenge yourself and someone else to see if you know more than they do about, something. And it started off good-naturedly. I mean, it stayed good-naturedly, but it did get competitive there near the end, which I thought was a blast. When you get to a point where you're like, okay, I remember Graham Nolan was sitting there strategizing about, okay, if I pick a question that's the last in a category, it's worth 3 points, but it's a harder question, or should I, take a category that I know I can get the answer in and make sure I get some points. It was just funny, it wasn't just kind of this, just ask me a question. It was, strategizing about what category to pick and how many questions were left in each category and which was the harder category. And it was fun. It was fun. So if you haven't watched that video, I said it before and I'll say it again, check it out. It's on my videos playlist on my my YouTube channel there. So it was the Professionals from last night. Let's see. I watched Steve Scott says I watched the show today while at the board. That was a lot of fun. Loved all the movies mentioned. Yes, thanks, Steve. I appreciate you checking it out. JP Roca, he's going to go along with it and say, you know what, that was a good show. I appreciate it, man. Rodney wants to know, is that's regular orange? No, this is actually, I don't know what this is because it's a Crayola, I think, colored pencil. Oh, geez. David Williams is calling me. Let's see what he has to say. Do you know I'm doing a live stream right now? Is that why you're calling? You want a what? Okay. See, David Williams is watching me right now, and he's called me to, instead of harassing me in the comment section, he's calling me on my phone. So is there a purpose for this call other than just to mess with me, or was there I'm drawing Surge from the X-Men. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, thanks for calling, Dave. I appreciate it. Okay, well, I appreciate it, man. Let you know you're watching. Okay, thanks, man. Talk to you later. Bye. Oh, that was funny. Okay. David Williams. We have some good drawing competitions. David and I do on the on my live stream show on the Sunday show. So he will, obviously, he's going to be a regular guest appearing on my show frequently because we have a good old time. So I will definitely bring him back. But to answer your question, Rodney, no, it's more of a orange pushing towards a flesh tone. I do have a straight up orange though that I do use too. Again, this is one of these situations where I'm coloring with whatever is within reach. And so yeah, I'm looking for my straight up orange right now, and I can't seem to find it. So I can go in with a red as long as I don't go too hard, and then I can blend it, make it softer. This is more of a straight up orange right here. Yeah, this is pretty much orange. So that's what I was looking for. Let's see what I can do with that. But I've said this before, and again, I always am reticent to repeat myself because I don't want to be boring. But I know there's always people that are new that haven't necessarily heard. But I tend to, you want to stay away from yellows when you're doing flesh tones because they can make your characters look jaundiced. And so I'm not a real big fan of that. I like to lean more towards the red, but red also is a little bit dangerous because it can just get too hot, and you get too reddish, too pinkish. If you're doing like Deja Thoris, right, who's a red-skinned maiden from Mars, then that's totally fine. But I'll use a little red on the cheeks and maybe like the knees or elbows. But generally, I won't go in there and use too much red. I'll use orange because it's to me, feels a little bit more like a flesh tone. It gives you that feeling of a red will give you without being too red. Oh, this paper is really nice. I really like this. I don't want stuff that's too toothy because then you can't get a soft blend on your colored pencils. It tends to get spotty because there's just like cavernous holes in the paper. It's so textured, that the colored pencil doesn't get down into the lower spots, only on the raised rough spots. And so you get this kind of really heavily textured, spotty kind of look, which if you're going for that, that's fine. But I'd rather have a little bit softer. I mean, if you see this in person, it's sort of the camera is sort of softening it for you. If you saw it in person, you'd see a little bit of the texture, which is fine because it is a pencil drawing. So I do kind of want some texture in there, but I don't want it to be really too hardcore. So this is a really nice, it's a smooth, yet it's a smoother vellum. So it has a little tooth to it, but not too much. Now, I will say this. I have kind of developed a bit of an affinity for inking on watercolor paper, cold press watercolor paper, which is really textured, but it can give you this sort of rough dry brush look without actually having to do dry brush. It's really, it depends on what you want your stuff to look like, right? It depends on what you're doing, but if that's the kind of look you want to get for it, it's like you can get a textured feel in your inking without even really having to try because the paper is so rough that it basically does it for you. And so sometimes I will use that paper to get a real sort of, rough kind of textured look. Of course, the problem with that is I have to, it comes in these huge sheets. So I have to like cut my own paper, and then it becomes a hassle. It's much nicer to be able to get 11 by 17 tablet that is already sort of prepared size-wise for you. You should do a show where you draw against a fan, then at the end critique them. Bring a fan on, destroy them, and then destroy them with my art, and then destroy them verbally. Actually, that is a pretty good idea if someone's is not too thin-skinned. Andy Smith, David, you need to take part then, so I won't be in last place. He's talking about the game show. I might do that. I think I should. Maybe we'll bring David in on the next time I do the game show, because we can't count on Art because he his internet is so bad that he's dips out halfway through the show every time anyway. Now, I hate to break this to you, sequential artist, but he's so happy he found a few dozen comics featuring low pressed art. Couldn't pick one cover of the Atomic Toy Box one, so I had to get all three. Now, he probably doesn't know this, but some of you may know this. I originally released Atomic Toy Box through Image, and we got one issue, and it did okay. But the second issue, the orders were so bad on it that I would have lost money, so I canceled it and never finished it, right? So I had some people did buy the book, though, and they were like, well, dude, when are you going to finish this? When are you going to finish this? And I had people asking me that for literally years. And I finally did finish it through Dark Horse a couple of years ago. And I changed the name to protect the innocent, of course, because I thought that Atomic Toy Box, although it was strangely catchy, it really didn't mean anything. And so I changed the name of the book to Power Cubed, which actually makes more sense. And so there is a Power Cubed miniseries that I did through Dark Horse. So I basically redrew the first issue of Atomic Toy Box, changed a couple of things, and then finished it up in a miniseries. And it's also been put into a trade paperback. So that is available. Power Cubed is available in the miniseries form, where there's 4 issues, and the trade paperback. So if you bought Atomic Toy Box and you actually read it and you're like, okay, well, what happens next? You have to go and get the Power Cubed miniseries, and that, explains everything, more or less. Okay. Got some nice flesh tone. This is much orangier and peachier than it looks there. It looks kind of tan there, but it's really kind of orange and peachy. I like the color better on... Okay, since I'm doing this version with the pants, those pants are purple, and her shirt thing is yellow. So let's get, and her hair is blue. Holy crap, there's just all kinds of color on here. All right. Hyper Kaiju is referring, of course, to having people on and then destroying them. Yeah, really break down their spirit and no mercy. Yeah, well. Okay. Okay, here we go. Aaron needs to break someone's spirit because I broke his 3 times already when I spanked him on his own show. Wow. I don't remember that going down like that. There you go, David. I think there's a little bit of hyperbole on there. Quite a few people said that I crushed you on the Captain America one. So the other ones, I think I do like your Silver Surfer better than mine. And the first one we did, which was, I think it was that Hulk thing. I never got mine finished. What did you draw? I thought I drew that Planet Hulk thing, but I didn't finish it. And I finished it later, I think. I don't even remember now. What did we draw the first time? So I think it's tied. Because if I didn't finish the drawing the first time, that's not really a win. That's kind of a, incomplete. And then you did get me. I think your Silver Surfer was better, but I don't know. Your Captain America was really good. I do admit it was good, but I think mine was pretty darn good too. So we'll let the people decide. No, I will, David, I will have you back and we will continue this competition until I get it right. Yes, blue's seen better days. All right, that was Space Ghost. You did Space Ghost, and I was doing the Hulk, and I didn't finish my Hulk drawing. Oh, I would go back. Lies. I don't think so. I speak the truth, my brother. No, not the reference I have, dude. Chris's reference I have, her pants are purple. But you're saying I should was because there's different versions. So now I'm confused. Okay, he wants to know about this painted sequence. No, I did the painted sequence. The watercolor sequence is in that book. All I know is DNF in racing is a loss. Did not finish. Oh, I see what you're saying. Wow. Came back and added color to your cap the next day. Cheater. No, that's actually called being smart and using creating content for your show. Actually, someone said, you know what, hey, if you put color on that, I'll buy it. And I said, oh, okay, I'll put color on it. But then the guy that said that, I think that was Sequential Artist said that to me. And so I put color on it, and someone else bought it before he got back with me. So anyway. That cap was funny because my first one was sucked. And so I abandoned it. And then it got David thinking that, maybe his wasn't as good as he thought it was either. So then he started a new one too, but then he changed his mind and went back to his old one. And so, yeah, it was like an epic 3-hour show. Put way too much time into these for what I charge for them. But again, oh, and by the way, her hair is not purple, it's blue, but it's showing purple to you guys. Very strange. I do not know why my camera has such a hard time. The camera in my computer actually shows the color correctly, but this extra one here that I have, which I paid more money for, doesn't. Just very annoying. So you have to trust me on this. Okay, so that's okay. So I want to do her shirt, which is yellow, before I do any darker colors. God, I got a mess going here. I can't find anything. There we go. This is a warm 0, which I always do for my base color before I go in and drop a yellow in here. Oh, Chris, that's right. I'm doing this for you, aren't I? That's right. I am doing it for you. Yeah, it says leave it up to you. All four of the references I said you had different pant colors, of course. Yes. And yeah, so I'm using, this is the specific costume, the first one you sent me, where she has purple pants. And that's what I'm just doing this whole design off of. So you're going to get purple pants, I think. Now, see, that's the thing. Let me go back here. Hyper Kaiju says, do we have to settle this in a draw off? And then David Williams says, no, because I already won 3 times. But that's his version of it. I don't think he did win. I think the Captain America, I don't know. It's tough because, in all honesty, we kid each other, but in all honesty, David is really, really good, and I like his stuff a lot. So it's very hard for me to say, "Oh yeah, I won that one," because I like his stuff. So we have to let the impartial viewers, and the impartial viewers, of course, chose me. So therefore, I won. Wait a minute. I don't know. Hang on a second. Maybe I have to go back and check the tape, but I don't remember admitting defeat in the Captain America. Maybe I did. But I've since changed my mind on that. Although I love David's Captain America. It's a great piece. Now I'm going to do the dumb thing that I always do is I'm going to colored pencil over this, and I'm going to go back over it with marker, which is going to ruin my tips. The dumb things I do. Okay. Actually, I like the shade of orange it's showing on the video, but it's not correct. Mine is more yellow than that. So I'm going to go with a warm 2 here and just define some of these shapes in here a little bit. I'm going to go hit that with a 0. Now, which is kind of nice is that this marker does sort of blend the colored pencil along with it. So it's almost like you're painting at this point. But like I said, it does ruin the tips of your pens. Fortunately, these tips are replaceable and super cheap. So you can buy like a big bag of them. And so, all right. So the X circle is black. I should have done the blue before I did this black. But I'll be very careful as I work around this black not to bleed it. In fact, I'm using, I use this tip. So again, this looks purple, but it's blue. Ta-da! Beauty. All right, I gotta do some of these hands. These hands are all gray, and the metal is all gray. So this area right here is a lighter gray. So let's do that first with a C0 and a C2. If I can find the 0, there it is. And if it has any ink in it. So we'll prime the paper with the 0. I think I'll go ahead and make her hands blue, since that's what the lightning's coming out of. So I'm going to be careful here, not get too dark with. Actually, yeah, you know what? I think all this metal is going to go blue because it's channeling her electric powers or surge or whatever the heck. I mean, that's her name is Surge, but this is her power surge that she's dealing with here. So I'm going to go in and 0 this with gray. Just kind of give me a foundation there to work off of. Then I'm going to go in with a C2. Create a little bit of shadow here in depth. I just had that stupid 0 and I lost. Oh, there it is. Gosh, it's like I put a pen down and like it magically disappears. So I'm going to hit that with the 0 to blend it, soften up just a little bit there. Come back in with the 0. Blend it a little bit. Okay, so now I can just go in over the top of this, lay in the colored pencil over it, and I don't really have to blend it that much because all the values have been established with the mark gray, right? So I can just kind of lay the blue over the top, and the values that I've established in the grays will still remain. It looks kind of gray, but it's a little bit more blue. In fact, it's a lot more blue in the finished than what you're seeing on your screen. Where are her organs? I don't know what that means. Oh man, David, it's too late to do that, man. She's white. There's nothing I can do about it. I guess I could go. No, I'm not gonna. Is there anything I miss about CrossGen? Yes and no. I mean, I loved Florida. I really did, despite the humidity, but there was so many strange animals and stuff. I loved living in Florida. My wife didn't because the humidity ruined her hair and she got attacked by mosquitoes constantly. But I think most of us, maybe all of us that worked there, produced probably the best work of our careers, simply because we were in this environment where the penciler was basically in charge of the art for the book. And we had all the artists that we were working with right there in the studio. So I would pencil something, I'd take it over to Matt Ryan to ink. And if I had any special instructions for him, I could just tell him, right? Or in some cases, show him. And he'd like, oh, yeah, okay, cool. And then he'll do that. And then I would go and talk to Will Quintana, who was the colorist. And if I had something specific in mind, I'd go, Will, I'm really going for this here, do this, you know. And he would like, oh, yeah, cool, got it, you know. And so it was just, you know, it was a really great environment to produce like the best work we'd ever produced. And so I do miss that. But we were also sort of this sort of compound community, you know, where we were, you know, I don't think a lot of people had friends outside of people in the studio because we were all sort of relocated there. And so it was, you know, it was like, you know, that the John Grisham, Tom Cruise film, The Firm, where you go to work at he goes to work at the law firm, and of course it's like gangsters or whatever. But you know, the whole family in the firm, that becomes your whole social, you know, outlet. And that was kind of like that at CrossGen, which was kind of strange. I mean, there was enough of us there that, you know, you had diverse friendships and things like that, but it was kind of just, you know, you hung out with the people you worked with because we didn't know anybody else. Okay, I see. Where are her organs? Followed up by, that's what the blue hairs say on Twitter when they're pretending a character isn't fat enough. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Are you telling me this character is Asian? Oh gosh, I wish guys would learn how to. I didn't know that because I couldn't tell by the drawings I got that she was Asian. So apparently in my drawing, she's not Asian. Okay, this is just plain terrible. I mean, that is That's a bad joke. So you've been rewarded for your bad humor. Okay, well, okay, so she's Asian, and I didn't know that, but I would have made her more Asian. I mean, I know Psylocke's Asian, so I know enough to draw her Asian when I see her, even if the other artist that I'm using as reference can't do it. But, oh well. I'm going to make her eyes blue before I forget. I really like this drawing. I think it's turning out well. Okay. She's got just an average old brown belt, at least according to the reference I've got. Now, see, I like it when guys are not too uptight about costume details when you get a commission, because especially if you're an artist that hasn't necessarily worked on the book, or even if it's a character you've drawn but haven't worked on it in a long time, you might get some costume details not exactly perfect, and you can't you can't throw a fit about that stuff. You have to allow for the artist to have a little bit of liberty in interpreting these characters. And so it always sort of irritated me, and it hasn't happened to me much, but it has happened to me a couple times, and I really let this guy know at one time, because he wanted a Jean Grey from Atlantis Attacks, right, in her seashell bikini. And so he gave me like just tens of pages of reference. I'm like, dude, I got it. I don't need a whole book, So I drew her seashells on her, her top, kind of diagonal at the bottom, and in the reference they were round. And this guy, it was a great piece, it was a color piece, and he threw a fit because I didn't do her seashells right, and I lost it. And so I chewed him a new one and said, you don't have to pay for it. I'll put it on eBay and get more than what I'm charging you for it anyway. And I can't believe you're being so ridiculous and blah, blah, blah. So I really lectured the guy, and he ended up taking the piece. But I told him, I said, I'm never doing anything for you again, ever. So don't even ask. And this was a regular guy that, bought stuff from me regularly. But it was just like, if you're going to be that picky, at that point, you're telling me that you don't want a piece of artwork from me. You just want someone to draw this character for you, and I happen to be conveniently there, so will you do it for me? It's like you're in love with the character, but you're not there for the artist. You're there for the character, and at that point, it's like, then go get someone else to draw it. I would expect that if someone comes to me to have a piece drawn, it's because they like my art. And so, I mean, if I went and got, let's say, for example, when Bernie Wrightson was still alive, I'm a big Bernie Wrightson fan. And let's say I went to Bernie at a convention, and I said, Bernie, will you do me a Swamp Thing sketch? Okay. So he does Swamp Thing, but Swamp Thing only has one ear. Okay. And let's say that he hasn't drawn Swamp Thing in a long time, so he puts the ear on the wrong side of Swamp Thing. Am I going to go up to him and whine and complain that he put the ear on the wrong side? Or am I just going to be thrilled to death that I had Bernie Wrightson actually do me a Swamp Thing drawing? I'm going to be thrilled that he do the drawing, because I wanted a Wrightson original. I didn't want a Swamp Thing original. It's just, I don't know. See, I got on a soapbox all on my own without any help. So really, you guys take that stuff into consideration. If you're one of those people that is like super uptight about, the costume has to be just right, and her hair has to be just right, and it has to be this, that, and the other thing. When you get a commission from somebody, an artist, the assumption is that it's because you like that artist, and so you want to get a piece by that artist, and that artist is saying, hey, I'll draw which character you like to make it better for you. So don't get all uptight on oh, the belt is wrong or whatever. That's really not the point of getting a commission, or it shouldn't be. Because then if it is, there's plenty of people in, Artist Alley, guys that haven't made it in the profession yet, that are trying to break in, that'd be more than happy to do an exact replica of John Burns, version of whatever character, just the way you like it, and it'd probably be cheaper too. So, boy, do I sound salty all of a sudden? But that does kind of tick me off. Because clearly, just like this, for example, I'm putting a lot of work into this. And then if the guy, Chris Bacon, for example, who's the guy who I'm doing this for, who's in the chat or was in the chat, came up to me and said, that yellow's not right on her costume, or her costume doesn't really cross like that. To the moon, Alice. Ignoring the fact that you got this really nice piece of artwork because the costume detail is not right. That's just, that's just dumb. Sorry, but it is. It's not like we're trying to do it wrong, but some of these costumes are somewhat complex, and let your artist be an artist. I said this to David Williams on last time he was on our on my live feed. We were talking about doing con commissions, and I brought up the thing that that Jimi Hendrix allegedly said at a concert when everybody in the crowd was shouting for him to play the song "Fire," because that was like their, his most popular song. And he just says to the crowd, he goes, "Hey, I'm not a jukebox, all right?" And then he walked off stage. So I don't know if that's true or not, but I hope it is, because it's a pretty awesome story. But although I would never walk off stage, I might chastise the audience, but I think, they paid to be there for the concert. So I think it's pretty lame if you walk off stage. But I mean, that's kind of the point though, right? It's like, you're there to hear Hendrix play. You're not there to hear Hendrix play just a certain song. So Husker. No, he's over there chewing up my dog is chewing up my carry-on bag. Okay, so I beat a dead horse with that whole thing. So I made my point. So let's move on. Former rock musician Steve Miller says, "I commission art for publication. I assume the artists I hire will put their own mark on the character. That person was a bit of a doofus." That's an understatement. But thank you. Thank you for agreeing with me on my own show. I appreciate that. It validates me. I don't really know how to answer that, so I'm not going to. You got to be careful when you ask someone, "Hey, what was it like working with someone?" Crying out loud. My ringtone, yes, is of course a theme from Jaws. You always got to be careful when you ask somebody, "Hey, what was it like working with so-and-so?" Because there's a possibility they didn't like so-and-so, or that working with that person was not great. I'm not saying that's the case with Brandon, but I'm just saying they always run that risk. And so then it's like it puts the guy in the position of saying, "Well, it was great," even though they're like, but I didn't work very much with Brandon because he wasn't art director very long. After I got there, Bart Sears took over that position shortly after. In fact, I take it back. Bart Sears was art director because he hired me, or basically recruited me to come to CrossGen, and he was already art director. So I didn't work with Brandon at all. Brandon was kind of doing his own special thing when I got there. So obviously I know Brandon. I've known Brandon for years, but I didn't really work with him in that sense. Ugh. So I think I pretty successfully dodged your question. So these pants are going to be purple, but I'm going to do a little gray underneath here. And then I'm going to hit it with a little blue. Then I'm going to hit it with some purple over the, or some violet over the top of that. I think this blue will help tie in with the rest of the blue that's going on here. If I can find my violet pencil, here we go, digging through the debris that is my, hang on one second. I have to walk over here. Where the heck is that? The only pencil I got over here is a green one. That means a purple one must be on this table someplace. And yet I can't find it. Do you like those sound effects of pencils rolling along? It's a green one. Oh my gosh, I found like every color in the rainbow except what I'm looking for. I've got like 3 violets. Where the heck are they? It's outrageous. It's egregious. It's fundamentally unsound. Again, allow me to apologize for not being prepared on my last second live stream. You know what? Screw it. I can't find it. We'll just have to pretend. I'll do that later. So anyway, I'm going to go over the top of that with some violet. As soon as I find one. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm going to smooth that blue out though. Okay. Looks like gray, but it's a little bit blue. Okay. Let's see here. So I got to go in here and do a little bit of gray inside that X. That X is going to be the same purple that I can't find right now. It's just, it's stunning to me how many pens, pencils, and markers I have laying around me right now. And yet, if I want to find a specific one, I can't. It's the most amazing thing. You can always find whatever you're not looking for. Okay, so pretend these pants are purple because they will be eventually. And okay, so I gotta do some blue. Actually, I want to do just a little bit of gray on these. This is white. This area right. Oops, sorry. This area right here is white. So I want to do that. Just kind of give a little bit of a gray tone to that. Okay. So I want to do this blue. What I think I'm going to do is this. I think I'm going to, it's going to take me forever. Maybe not. Can't really see it, but that's blue. So we can do this blue electricity all in pencil. And I think what I'm going to do is kind of smudge it around. I think it might look actually kind of cool. This is an excellent question posted by Nighthawk Warrior Comics, and I have no answer for any of those. I don't even know who this character is hardly. So someone on this feed will give you that answer, I'm sure. Could clients pay you in art supplies and organization containers? Yes, they could, but I don't know if that would help my situation because I've got plenty of that stuff. I just don't really use it effectively. This is absolutely true. You know, pencil nubs are pretty much a regular around here. It's like eventually you go, you know what? Why am I still using this pencil? I'm going to throw it away. But yeah, I need to go through. I've got pens that have been dry for perhaps decades that are still laying around here because it's like I'm so like, I don't want to throw it away. I spent $5 on that, you know, and yet you can't use it anymore, and yet there it sits. So, but the hardest thing about cleaning is when you've got other stuff to do, you sit there and go, okay, if I actually clean this studio up and get stuff organized and do all this stuff, it's going to take me a week. And you're like, can I not do any work for a week just to focus on cleaning this place up? And then you know that within another month, it's going to be just as messy as it was before you cleaned it. So it's like, why ever clean it? It's like, why ever make your bed, right? Because you're just going to sleep in it again. That's like a twisted kind of logic, I think. But there is, that's my dog barking. I apologize. That there is a twisted kind of logic to that, though, I think. Can't believe we've been going 2 hours. It seems like only 2 minutes. Oops, sorry. I get rocking and rolling here, and sometimes I forget I'm going off camera. That looks like I'm doing this gray, but this is blue. This is like a light blue, coal erase light blue pencil. And what I'm going to do with this, after I do this kind of rather rough and loose crosshatch, so I'm going to take the tissue and smear it all over the place. Soften it up. And then I think I will actually outline her in blue, which kind of makes sense to me. See, if you're lucky enough that I actually do your commission on a live stream, it's like you're probably going to get more work put into it than I would normally, simply because I got all you guys watching, and it's like, you know, this has got to be brilliant. It's not brilliant, then I can't put it on the air, right? So I don't know if it's brilliant, but I can't really see what this looks like effectively, but it kind of looks kind of cool. Kind of fades into the background. It's kind of soft, becomes this kind of nice little design element. There's kind of a blue fog behind it. I don't know. I kind of dig that. Now I'm going to do something. I'm going to go in and I don't know if this is going to help, hurt, or be indifferent, but I'm going to sharpen up my blue pencil. I'm going to go in here and sort of outline this a little bit. And don't ask me why, I'm just doing it. Sometimes you do a little bit of experimentation and see how something looks. That's kind of what we're doing here. I'll scan this and post it so you guys can actually see it with its actual color, what it really looks like, because you're not getting a fair and accurate representation of it right now. Groovy. All right. Let's see. I'm gonna beef up her contour lines here, and then run for the exits. I'm going to zoom out, that way I'll keep drifting off camera. Normally I would outline this character in gray, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to outline her in blue, I think. I got to do a little bit of touch up. There seems to be some forehead area there that I missed. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and take this blue pencil and do this. Just kind of surround her with a little blue halo, if you will. Again, I know you guys probably can't even see that on the, but you will when I scan it. I'm going to make it kind of rough because it is electricity after all, right? Or some sort of power. This is an interesting comparison. I appreciate it. It's quite a compliment. I love, I'm a big fan of Walter's. That's interesting because Walter's not someone I look at stylistically wise, but he's certainly someone I pay attention to storytelling wise. Visual layouts and stuff are so, he does such a great job. It's funny. As I create streams, they remind me that why I decided that being an artist wasn't for me. It's way too much work to get to the point where it looks so easy to be so good. You know, there is some truth in that. It's, you know, it's, I don't know that we necessarily make it look easy, but we certainly do have a system for creating this stuff. And it's the hours of practice, you know, is just, someone had posted a cartoon that I thought was really funny. It showed this young kid, right? And he said, you know, there was this fairly large stack of papers behind him, you know, taller than his head, right? And he said, oh, I don't know why, you know, I'm not as good as you. All I do is draw and draw, or something like that, right? And then it shows next to him the professional artist, and he has stacks of papers that are just, you know, 100 times bigger than what this kid has done. And he's like, yeah, I don't know either. All I do is practice and draw, or something like that. But the joke essentially was that the amount of work that it takes to get to, I mean, obviously you have to have ability, but the amount of work it takes to get to be at a professional level is mind-numbing when you, and a lot of people, I think, you know, it's like being a professional musician or whatever. It's like, yeah, you can be a pretty good guitar player, but to be like Eddie Van Halen good, you know, he's probably spent 10 times as much time practicing as you have, you know, and that, so it's just, you don't really, yeah, it just takes a mind-numbing amount of time and effort and, you know, pages of art. And that's why it has to be, it just has to be, it has to be not just something you enjoy doing, it has to be a passion. It has to be something you know, it's almost like you've got to do it. I mean, I went all in on this and I had no options, all right, other than art. And so it's like, if I did not make it in art, I was screwed. And there was times where I didn't think I was going to make it. You know, you get the rejection letters and you get the rejection straight to your face. And, you know, the realization that, my goodness, you know, you're not as good as you thought you were, or as good as you needed to be. And, you know, then you either fold under the pressure or you take on the challenge and get better and make yourself get better. And like I said, I was all in. I had no other options. So, you know, I mean, I could have gotten, you know, a standard job or something like that. But in terms of career options, I had no other options. I didn't like get a degree in something else, you know. This was pretty much it. So I'm very fortunate, and I thank God that it worked out for me. Let's see. Lady Celtic, or is it Celtic? Do you go Celtic or Celtic? Moon is here. She wants to know who I'm drawing. I wish I knew. No, it's Surge. Surge of the X-Men family. Will I join Fraga during drawing on Fraga June? I might. The problem with being on other people's shows is I do so many of my own. It's like, if I don't quit doing these live streams, I'm never actually going to get any work done, other than the stuff I do on the live streams. So it becomes challenging to be a guest on someone else's show when you're doing so many of your own. But it's not out of the realm of possibility that I might show up on Fragaboom's show. Put a little more work into this blue, and then I'm going to get out of here. But don't worry, I will remember to make her pants purple. Alrighty, I think that's pretty darn cool. All right, folks, this has been a very successful live stream. Got a lot of eyeballs on it, and I think that's great. And I appreciate everybody who's taking the time to stop in and say hello and check out what I'm doing. I'm going to switch cameras back to me. I know as horrible and shocking as that's going to be. There I am. Let me show you so you can get a better idea. That's a more accurate feel for the color on that piece. Although her pants are gray right now, but they're going to be violet once I find my violet. But everything else on there is you can kind of see the blue halo around her. I do with the colored pencil. So yeah, that's actually turned out. That's a pretty nice piece, if I do say so myself. And I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb and say I think that's pretty nice. Chris Bacon, this is for you, and he seems to be pleased with it. Oh, that's Chuck. I'm sorry. There's Chris. Thanks, Aaron. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate you getting in touch with me and having me do a piece for you. I love doing it. I'm not sure what that was in reference to, but oh, I know, about appearing on Fragaboom Show. That's right. Okay, Rodney loves it. Thanks, Rodney. Appreciate it. Chuck Elam did say nice piece. So Chuck, thank you. All right, guys and gals, thank you so much for stopping by on an unannounced live stream. That seemed to be my specialty these days. I will scan this and put it up on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. So, you know, if you're on those social media sites and you want to get a better look at what this actually looked like finish, check that out. And yeah, let's see. I think that's all I got for you. So until next time, which will actually be Sunday evening at 5:30, please stop by. That's the big show where we have video clips and all sorts of stupidity, and as well I draw as well. So, and you never know who might show up. David Williams might call me right in the middle of the show. So anyway, thank you. I appreciate you guys' patronage, and we will see you next time, which will be sooner than later. And this is me fake freeze framing while I push the end broadcast button because there's a slight delay. So thank you, and we'll see you next time.